Breaking to me is me diving into myself and pulling out all the shit that I think is wrong with me, pulling out all the things that I wish I could have done, pulling all the people that I wish I could spend time with, pulling out all the environments that I was in that hurt me, pulling out all the environments I was in that I felt were beautiful experiences, and mixing it all together and kind of throwing it out there. My name is Tafiya Itiaba Bayah. I'm a mover, dancer, facilitator, and a visual artist. Saw a bunch of kids dancing in the hallway of my high school, and I just thought, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I just need to be a part of it. And eventually some of them were like, yeah, you can do this too. We can show you, instead of you just sitting there awkwardly watching us all the time. So I decided, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try this. There's definitely no moment in the process of learning to dance where I thought, I'm really good at this. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite. The reason I kept going is because I felt that, wow, this is so challenging. This is one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life, but it's so rewarding because the challenge is so high and the body has so many limits. But every time you're able to achieve something, you feel like you've broken past a part of yourself that you could never get to. So that's what keeps things moving along, knowing that I'm becoming a better version of myself every time I move or I practice. And so I never thought, I'm good at this, let me keep doing it. It's more, I have the potential to be better than I am today. And that's the specific thing that keeps me going. I like to use the word movement when I talk about my breaking and how I view dance as well, because I think it's a better way to describe the process that I go through when I'm trying to create something. And for some reason, people feel very comfortable just labeling you b-boy this or b-girl that, and it's kind of strange. So after a while, I just thought, am I not just an artist? So movement is such a more accurate term than only saying I'm a b-boy or I'm a hip-hop dancer or I'm a house dancer. I'm just an artist. I'd rather just be called an artist. And a mover is beautiful in itself. So I use movement as a term that makes me feel good about what's happening. Taking that inspiration from the things I've seen, how I live my life, how I watch others live their lives, and then putting that into my movement, my art, has allowed me to create so many variants and possibilities in the movement itself. And rather than saying I'm creating something from scratch and I made all these things that are brand new, I'm thinking of it more from a perspective of I'm creating this universe where I'm including these people that I've met into it, and they're living in my body. Even if some of them are dead and they can't dance now, I'm moving through that with them because they shared so many things with me. So I'm literally recreating this story for people to see, even if they've never met these people and even if they never can. So I don't think of it all the time as me trying to create my own style or do these things, but rather I'm creating a world where we can live in, even if it's for the 30 seconds that we're all together, and we're able to bring the past into the present and also create a better future temporarily. And that's what the movement is about. I think that when you're dancing and you come into any space, wherever it is, with whoever it is, you're bringing whatever energy you're carrying throughout that day into that. And however conscious you are of that is whatever is going to come out. So if I'm having a really bad day and I'm pretty upset, I have to be able to like see how that energy can be managed into something that can become tangible and useful. And sometimes that might throw me off completely because I want to be calm, I want to be collected, I want to be cool and smooth, but that's not authentic to what's happening. I'm a mess, I'm tired, I'm upset, and that's just what needs to be expressed. And being okay with that is the thing that makes the movement a little bit better versus trying to be something I'm not.
Okay, I called it a dance off earlier. Clearly that's not what it's called. What do we call it? What do you call it?
When you're dancing with other people is definitely not called a dance off, that's for sure. We like to call that a cypher, if anything. You know, you're dancing with other people and typically you see a circle form. So you go into a party or an event, people naturally form a circle. And that's just human beings. We naturally form circles as the easiest way to transfer information. Somebody's in the center and they project information outwards and people on the outside receive it. And the person in the center who is storytelling, who is ciphering or coding, right, thought into movement. They're telling you a story. Everyone on the outside is deciphering what is happening in the middle of this circle. And we're taking turns storytelling through movement. We're just exchanging energy and information constantly in different ways at different times. And I personally like dancing with people when we're on the same energy, but you don't always get to control who you're dancing against or with or for. So when I have the opportunity, if I'm dancing with other people, usually I'd like to make sure that it's somebody I really care about that is really cool and we both understand, and you know, they're your friends. They're not just like gym workout partners. They're people that are invested in your life and you're invested in their life. And you just happen to do this thing called dancing, which you both share. Typically I have like a mantra that I like to say. It's, I'm gonna be the best me I can be regardless of what I see. Because sometimes we let the outside noise of what's happening in front of us alter whatever is happening internally. And that's not really the way I want to operate. And also that produces a lot of social or performance anxiety sometimes. Every time I used to enter a battle or a competition, I would feel it and I would actually vomit. Like I would have to like run to the bathroom and vomit. Like I wouldn't feel good at all. So the mantra was a part of the process of learning how to cope with those situations and be calm and learn how to navigate that realm. Being in a competition feels like you're entering a room with a lot of energy and a lot of expectations sometimes. For myself, I like entering the competition to test whatever I've been playing with. It's a playground. And also to see people, because the competition is just an excuse for people to get together. Because before, it was just about the cipher, it was just about sharing information. And so in this current day and age, as we're progressing, the competition is basically the fire and we all gravitate to it and we sit down and we share our stories around it. But the environment itself can either be high energy, high expectation. It's a typically male-dominated environment, which is also not always welcoming to women or queer people. There's a lot of homophobia in hip-hop, right, that we have to deal with. There's a lot of sexual predators. And so there's a whole slew of things that have been coming out that hip-hop as a genre itself needs to tackle and disassemble. But the competitive environment, which kind of is also attached to that, still carries its own weight, its own things. And people in these environments are all striving to try and make bigger steps to prove to themselves that they can be the kinds of people they want to be, that they can be the kinds of artists that they want to be, despite whatever challenges they've been going through in their day. If I was giving advice to somebody just starting out in breaking, I would tell them to relax. I would tell them to move at their own pace. I would tell them not to focus too much on trying to prove anything to anybody. I would tell them that however they are is okay, and there's no need to injure yourself for the sake of trying to just get a movement to feel like you're worth it, that you are worth it without any of these special movements. You don't need to spin on your head or do any of that. You can literally just move your space, you know, around however you please. You can move your body, you can do whatever you want, and there's no judgment there, because that's the sense of freedom that I found, where I felt like it was okay finally to be myself. And so I wish to pass that on. The Toronto breaking community is regarded as one of the most creative and most interesting and intricate breaking communities in the world. That's one of the things that I love the most about Toronto. It's about the attention to detail, it's about the subtle care, and it's about sharing. People are becoming more open source and saying, hey, we know everyone's going through a hard time. Here's some information. Maybe you can create something beautiful with it. And everyone leveling up kind of based off of that. And yet still in Toronto, there's a touch and there's a special way of moving that people who come here often get assimilated by it. And it's so powerful and strong that they just start doing things naturally based on how we're moving here too. And that's something I thought was really cool. It allows you to keep your own essence wherever you come from, whatever values you're bringing, but add on to it with what Toronto has as its fundamental. And that's what I really love about Toronto's breaking community and the artistic practice of it. If I were to look into the future and try and predict where my movement is gonna go, I don't think I could give an answer on that, because I'm changing every day, every second. So how I feel about my movement and myself today is not how I'm gonna feel tomorrow. But what I can enjoy is just the process of changing and the ability to keep reinventing myself, the ability to keep experiencing things and knowing that it's all right if I'm gonna change, because that's where the beauty lies. And the temporary aspects of how my style are right now, I know some things are gonna leave tomorrow, and I'm completely comfortable with that. And in fact, maybe that's what I enjoy the most about it, is that I get to just be here right now, experiment, and when it's ready to leave me, whatever movement, maybe it's due to injury or capacity, as I get older, I can't do certain things, that's completely fine. It's like a gift. It came into my body, I was able to express it, and then I let it go, and it's perfectly fine. Breaking to me is me diving into myself and pulling out all the shit that I think is wrong with me, pulling out all the things that I wish I could have done, pulling all the people that I wish I could spend time with, pulling out all the environments that I was in that hurt me, pulling out all the environments I was in that I felt were beautiful experiences, and mixing it all together and kind of throwing it out there and just saying, this is what I've seen, this is what I think, this is how I am currently, and watching it move and change. Because as you're moving, you're also changing. You're releasing, you're taking new things on. I'm accepting energy from the external gaze. I'm giving it back in a different form. So I'm always gonna be just allowing things to pass through me. And I'm moving my body so that these things can move through me as well. Because if I stay still, if I stay stagnant, these things are gonna simmer in me. And some of them I don't need to keep in me, because that's not healthy. And that's why we're breaking, because we have things we need to express, like every artist, and we need to let it move through us. So we take it in, we digest it, we release it through a story in movement, and that's it. And you get up and you make sure that the next person can go in after you and share their story. Yeah, I noticed throughout the years that there's been a decline in community spaces that cater to breaking or hip-hop arts in general, especially within the movement realm across the city of Toronto. I would say that back in 2010 until around 2015, 16, there was a plethora. It was beautiful. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen, and I would say it was a thriving environment for youth artists, especially in high school and university, or entering university, to learn how to do these art forms and these things. And if it weren't for these community spaces, it's guaranteed that majority of the people who are still breaking today in this city wouldn't be able to do what they do. They wouldn't have learned the information that they learned. They might not even be friends. And community involvement, community support, and also the funding that goes to that is more important than anybody would ever realize for people's mental health and well-being, and actually the continuation of an arts practice. And those are the kinds of things that community spaces do for people. And sometimes people think, oh, it's just a place where you're going to work out, or oh, it's just a place where you're gonna go waste away 3 hours and come home sweaty. And it's a lot more than that. There's a lot happening, especially when it's facilitated correctly. Sometimes you're actually working through your issues that you can't work through at home while you're moving, and you come home a much better person or a much lighter person, right? So you're able to bring your stuff in, disassemble it, and kind of leave feeling like there's a much better way to live your life. And that's what the arts practice is supposed to do anyway. It's supposed to make you feel like living your life is much better than you thought it could be.